Welcome to the Black Diamond Podcast. I'm your host, Will White, and we got a great episode with two lovely ladies tonight. We're going to talk about how you can improve in the dating market. So let's get into it. Okay. So why don't we start to the bottom?
Peace. What's up, y'all? I'm True Empress. I'm coming to you live and clear in this rainy weather, coming out of Jersey.
Let me get your age, education, what you do for work, where you're from, like what state, and then your relationship status.
Okay. Um, I'm Empress. I am from New Jersey. Age is irrelevant.
It's irrelevant. Why? What happened?
Because I grew up thinking, I was raised that you never ask a lady her age.
Okay. So, can you give us a range? 20s, 30s, 40s. We don't judge. The judge free zone.
No, nowhere near my 40s. So put it like that. But you close. And the age range actually like 30. I won't even worry about it though.
All right. So, what do you do for work?
I am actually a caregiver. I am a home health aide.
Caregiver. Okay, that's nice.
Mhm.
You're not a nurse though, right?
Indeed, it is.
Are you a nurse? You're a nurse too. I said, are you a nurse?
No,
Okay. Have you ever been a nurse?
no.
Okay. Cool. All right. What's your education?
I've been to a couple different colleges, but I went to for different things. The first time was for audio production. The next time was for audio science technology. So, for me to get where I am, it's a nice long story.
Okay. So you got some college experience. Got some college.
Yeah.
All right. And what state are you from, or country, or where are you located right now?
I'm in New Jersey. My background, my grandparents and my father are from Jamaica.
Okay. I'm Jamaican too. Shout out to the Jamaicans.
What part of Jamaica, I gotta ask?
Yeah.
What part of Jamaica? Both of you guys.
All right, Empress, go first. What part of Jamaica are your parents from?
No, my great grandparents. They came straight from Kingston. So,
Which part? Oh, you don't know, or
I'd have to look at their death certificates actually, because my father he doesn't know. But I just grew up in the culture without certain types of information.
okay.
So, yeah.
Well, my parents are from Manchester and Christiana. You ever been to? Are you Jamaican, Treble?
I'm Virgin Islands, St. Thomas.
Virgin Islands, St. Thomas. Okay, so you from the island. You already know. You know the vibes. All right. Last question. For the introductions, what's your relationship status?
Single, not married.
Single, like single AF, or you got a little sneaky link on the side. Single can mean a lot nowadays, so you never know.
I'm not married.
Okay, so you going with the not married.
Yes.
All right. Last but not least, I'm on top right. What's your name?
Hey, you guys. My name is Trebel. Yeah.
Oh, you're breaking up.
Yeah.
She's driving right now, guys. All right, now we can hear you. Yeah, start with your So name,
So my name is Trebel.
education, what you do for work, and your relationship status.
Okay. Name Trebel. Age 23. What I do for work, I do a lot of things for work, actually. I'm a hustler, I guess I should just say. Um, I currently work at Saks. So I currently work at Saks. I also work at Tobias. I do music. I have businesses. So, like I said, I'm just like a hustler. I do a little bit of everything. Education status is some college. Um, and relationship status is it's kind of tricky.
Hmm.
It's situationship. I'm gonna say relationship slash situationship. So yeah.
How did you find yourself in that is complicated status? Like
What makes it complicated?
who doesn't want to commit fully on their end?
No. I don't think it's a thing of commitment. I think it's a thing of just like I don't even know. I'm okay to commit, but I can't tell if he is, if he wants to have multiple people, if it's like a cultural thing, because the culture is just different. But it's just, like I said, it's just a situation shift that I'm really trying to figure out.
All right. So you brought up multiple people. Do you think, are you a part of his rotation or is he a part of your rotation?
Well, I'm definitely committed to him. So for some reason, he keeps, I think, I don't know, like, polygamy keeps coming up in the conversation on his end. And I'm like, yo, I'm not that type of girl. Like, if that's what you want, then you can go ahead and be with a girl who allows that. But as for me, it's one and done, sweetheart. If I'm giving you everything you need and then some, it's no reason why you should be asking for a number two. I don't share over here.
So okay, he brought up polygamy. Are you? Is he? So he must be like a man you respect to the very least, all right? For you to at least like entertain that option. Do you see something wrong with that? If like you're sharing him with somebody else?
I personally don't feel like if that's what everybody has a relationship and everybody has the things that they like and they don't like. I'm not one to judge. If somebody outside does it, that doesn't bother me because, that's what they do and it's what they choose to do. But as for me personally, I just don't. A relationship is something intimate, one and two. That's how I see it. I could be wrong, but for me, a relationship is something intimate. And I feel like when you add other people, even if it's not like a relationship, adding them into the relationship, just like, in any type of way you add them into your relationship, I feel like it takes away from the connection. So for me personally, I just don't agree with it. Like I said, if you want two girls, if you think you need two girls, then what am I here for? If I'm doing everything that I need to do for you, like, it just don't make sense.
All right. So let me ask you this question because a lot of women do say that they don't want to share a man, whatever, yada yada yada, right? I'll pose both of you this question. Do you think you can sexually satisfy a man who's in his prime by yourself?
Yes.
Yes.
Tell me why.
Because that pussy got power. I'm kidding.
You think you can sexually satisfy him by yourself? Like there's never gonna be a time where you'll say no.
No.
Well, see, wait.
If well, I'm, and let me tell you why I say I'm sorry. Why I say yes, and it's not gonna be something that I say no, is because whomever that person is, I have like you for you to be in my space in the first place, I have to have that type of attraction to you. So if I have that type of attraction to you, it's not gonna stop unless you ruin it somehow. But for the most part, like no, like if I'm attracted to you like that, it's go time.
All right, what about
I don't have a no.
I get that, but I feel like it's gonna be certain times like where I probably can't. Not like I don't want to, but I probably can't. Like God forbid I'm sick. God forbid it's that time of the month. Then what happens? So like I might not be able to do it all the time. I'm just being realistic, but in situations and times like I definitely believe you gotta leave your man, you know, empty before he leave the house and when he come back. But if I say one time, like, okay, yeah, I'm not trying to do that today, like, you should be able to understand that. So I feel like it's compromise all around.
it is compromise. I'm gonna say this. Just like naturally, and let's bring it back to like reality. You guys have your periods, and emotions run wild during that time. Whatever. There's a high likelihood where you're not going to be able to like completely sexually satisfy your man. So I think if he's bringing up like a polygamy type deal, you might actually be doing you a favor. There might be those times where you don't want to do something with him, and he can go call number two, but you're still number one.
Mm-mm.
I want to be number one. I want to be the.
That's not how polygamy works though. Like if he has to call this person up, therefore this is not a polygamous relationship. A polygamous relationship is agreed upon between all parties.
And even if,
Yeah, like this is she stays here, she lives here, we're building something. We have an actual goal behind this. We're not just doing this because, to keep our sexual arousals going with one another. That shit is deeper than that. Because once you start, swapping bodies and say the women are people like you are just, oh, this is, you know, that I'm going to be with this person and I'm just being honest that I have this other person that I do this with. Okay, I'll understand your honesty, but you don't know what she's doing. She's telling you one thing, whatever the case is, you really, really don't know. If we're in a situation where it's balanced and we all have a reason to be together, to come together, that's one thing. But you having somebody who, oh, you know that I called this person when you can't do it for me, that's not a polygamous person.
That's just like a substitute.
Free. Yeah. Yeah, like no, that's your side piece or whatever the case is you want to call it. Like that's not a polygamous relationship. You're a man's genitals period are naturally polygamous. So he doesn't mind doing whatever he wants to do with them. This monogamy is a choice. Polygamy is natural, but it's not it's a natural thing when we're trying to build something. Other than that, you're being loose.
And I feel like, just like what she said, it's a lot that ties into like a commitment. I understand men are like very sexual. Men are natural hunters. We get all of that. But at the end of the day, if you're sitting here saying that, like she said, monogamy is a choice. If you're saying that you want to be in a relationship, you want to be committed to somebody, you have to commit to like not just them, but to like respecting them, respecting what they say. If you don't have control over your genitals and your sex drive, then you probably don't need to be in a committed relationship. Do you see what I'm saying? Like it's very easy to just sit here. I respect the honesty. You said what? I mean, I think for men in this,
I don't think it's having control over your sex drive.
I think that's not what it is. I mean, in terms of like when I'm saying no, I can't do it right now because your question was, do you feel like you can fully meet a man's sexual needs? And I was realistic. I said probably not all the times, but in those times where I'm saying no, I feel like you should be able to control yourself and just understand that okay, my woman is going through this right now, or there's a reason why she's saying no because I know my woman loves me enough and is attracted to me enough to give it to me whenever I want. But in this instance, she's saying no. So I'm gonna just fall back, go do something, make some money. I don't know, and come back later on and see what happens. I mean, at least you can get some, some something else. I won't leave you no way, but like, don't just sit there and use.
You're talking about a mature man.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, it's possible. Like, we make it seem like these things are not possible, but it is possible.
They totally are, and I totally believe that they are.
That's why I say you have to use the word commitment lightly.
Yeah.
My whole thing is it is possible, but so both of you already know that it's very unlikely that you're going to be able to sexually satisfy your man for the entire length of the relationship by yourself, right? So in my head, you're already entering the relationship with ill faith, knowing that you can't sexually satisfy this man, but then demanding monogamy from him. How is that fair?
Because there's gonna be times where he's gonna say no. There's gonna be times where he's busy. There's gonna be times where he needs his space. There's gonna be times where he needs to focus on his money because if we're just having sex, then I'm draining him in his sacral chakra energy, and he's not gonna be able to do anything but come and sexually arouse himself or have a good time, and that'll be it. And nowadays, even before, like if we're looking for somebody to protect and provide and do all of these things, he needs that time off to focus. And if that's not what he's on, then 9 times out of 10, that's not what you for. If he's on sex all the time, all the time, all the time, that is that's what you're there for. There's nothing more, nothing less.
I do agree. I think men need sexual discipline, but also at the same time, right? You do want the man who's going to protect, provide, and profess for you emotionally. Make sure that you're emotionally secure, right? You want that, right? We're coming into the relationship giving you that, right? But on the other hand, you're coming into the relationship with ill faith, knowing that you can't sexually satisfy us. And damn, I forgot what I was gonna say. Shit, I forgot my point. Yeah, you're coming into the relationship with ill faith, and damn, I forgot my point. It slipped my mind. All right, never mind. We'll continue on with that. Damn, I really forgot my point. Okay, you do.
Um, they absolutely are. Women are more sexual creatures than men because and it's like it's not even like our yeah, like we're way more sexual than them, but it's just it's not. it's not it's not taught the right way. We're never being taught the right way. So instead of being like we're sexualized, but they don't realize that our sexuality and the way that we actually feel like towards men is like large, but it's like now it's like they promote our sexual appetites as if we want multiple men or we want this and this and this and this, but that's not true. It's a lot of women that actually want traditional relationships. They want monogamous relationships, but we're being portrayed in such a way that it's not putting us in the right light. Like, yeah, we're highly sexual beings, but we're being sexualized and not nobody understands our sensuality, and nobody understands the deeper meaning behind our sexuality. They don't understand our sexuality is not always this thing where we just want to bust it for anybody. It's not that. Like, we are normally turned on by an individual.
No, I agree with that. It's sex between men and women are different. I think women want they are very sexual for the right man, but then men can be very sexual for multiple women.
Yeah.
But the difference is, wait, Trouble, I think you might have to turn your volume down a little bit. So men can be sexual for multiple women, right? Um, but it doesn't mean we neglect our main woman if we have that or if we choose to do so. So you'll have a lot of like high end profile men who have their main girlfriend and they love their girlfriend, but at the end of the day, or when they travel, they still have other things on the side that don't interfere with their relationship. You guys think there's something wrong with that? Because if the man is making you his priority, he's not messing up the finances, he's not putting your health at risk sexually, he's not leaking the business, making sure that you're not embarrassed when you step out in public. Is there really an issue with sharing that man?
If he's making those efforts to make sure you're not embarrassed, yeah, it's a problem. It's a problem if he's not honest.
No, he's taking steps to make sure that you don't get embarrassed, so, like, nothing comes out.
Yeah.
That's still an issue?
Yes and no. Yes, because if you agreed to be monogamous, now you done messed up. If you agreed to be committed to this one person and they don't know or they're unaware that you have these relationships, however you come out and everybody knows, like, especially like people who are married, you know what I mean? Like, if he's married and he has a girlfriend, okay, the wife never knows that he has a girlfriend, but she may have an idea. She doesn't stop him from having it, but it also creates drama in the relationship if, in fact, she senses anything or feels anything, or if he has a track record that's bad, So that men ruin that on their own. They ruin that on their own by just not being honest. If you were honest from the gate, like, look, I'm not sure I want to be in a committed relationship, but my thing is, why do you want to sit and have these women audition if you don't have any intentions on making them anything to you? You just want to play sampler. I'm gonna tell you like this: like, if you want, a fucking buffet, then go ahead. But you want something serious, you want to build something, you want something other than pussy, you gotta be different. Your mindset has to change.
So, wait, Empress, do you have light you could turn on? I could barely see you. And we're gonna get into my first topic. Alright. So, my first topic for both of you ladies is there a risk for men or women? Well, is there a higher risk for men or women entering a relationship or marriage nowadays? And do you think it's either men or women?
I think it's both. I think,
But if you have to choose one, one or the other. Who has the higher risk in a relationship?
honestly and truly speaking, I might be biased when I'm saying this. I'm just being real because I'm a real person. But I genuinely feel like it's the woman. Here's why I say this. Like I said, women produce. Women have to bring forth offsprings.
I know. I felt like it was about to be good.
Let's say a child comes first, right?
Why do you think it's women?
Because they have children. They could have children with this man. And now it becomes something that is not just affecting the woman, but it's also affecting the child. And most times that child stuck with the woman. So I think it's more so for the women, not to say not for men too, because men want to make their money. Men feel like women sometimes, and there are some women who just take the money so they can lose money. But for women, I feel like they lose help, they lose assistance, they could be put into responsibilities that two people were supposed to do together. Now it's just one. So I definitely feel like it's more so the woman, and then the emotional trauma that come with it. Not to say men don't have those too, because men have emotions too, but
So you think it's women because the possibility of getting pregnant?
not just the possibility of getting pregnant, but women
It's having the baby and
having the baby, not even just having the baby, the emotional things that go with it too.
But isn't having the baby your choice?
Having a baby is a choice, but an abortion is also a choice that you would have to go through. So if you lay down on that table and you have to bleed for however long, a month, 2 months,
either way is life altering.
it's life altering. You got to call off of work. You got to do whatever you got to do. Like,
But I would say that, if you chose to have a baby, I would hope that you would chose to have a baby with a man who can, protect you and provide you and care for that baby that you would want. Why would you have a baby with someone that you didn't really think can provide those things? Who takes the most risk?
yeah, I feel like that's the woman because at that time, that woman, and sometimes these men, make it seem and portray as though it's going to be a forever thing. It's going to be this. It's going to be that. But then when things really hit the fan, let's say sexual needs aren't being met, or I don't know, one day you just wake up bipolar and you're like, you know what, I don't want to do this no more. Or it could be anything. It could be maybe the woman is not doing what you're supposed to do, but maybe you didn't communicate, maybe you did, maybe things aren't being heard. It could be a whole bunch of things. And now there's a child involved because you guys thought you were going one way, but you didn't. The woman might have thought, okay, yeah, I'm going to do this. But what if he decides he don't want to do it no more? Then what?
But all right, it's funny. It's funny you say women, and that's your reasoning, right? Because in most cases, even if they do separate, right, the women keeps the child in most cases, right? Now,
Sometimes it's half.
yeah, sometimes it's half, but it's overwhelmingly the mother gets full custody of the child for the most part, and the man has to pay child.
Right.
So, I mean, you're not really losing that much if the man is still entitled to pay you and take care of that child, and you don't even have to be with him.
It's not the same as actually doing the work as opposed to just I'd rather just throw money at something than actually take care of the child. If that's the point.
You would rather throw money at the child than actually take care of it?
Like you're saying that they have to pay money so you're not really taking a hit, but paying money is nothing compared to like putting that money towards the child, taking care of the child, making sure that the child is good, sending the child to school, stay on their ass, making sure they're doing their homework, like making sure they're not getting knocked up.
But, I mean, that's saying that he's not in the child's life, like, he could still be in the child's life, and he's still required to pay child support, like,
True.
For sure. But then if he's paying child support, that means he's a part time dad. He's not a full time dad. He's not, that means just after school we see the child or on the weekends we see the child. That's not full time. We wake up in the morning, got to cook breakfast, got to make lunch and cook dinner when we come home and do all the things for the child that we would do for our husband or the person that whomever we had the child with. We still have to come and cook and clean and wake up early before them to wake them up to we do the full job with no titles. You know what I mean? So it's like now I'm responsible for getting this child to school, making sure they eat lunch, making sure they have clean clothes, making sure that they have every single thing that they need, including little bitty details down to cleaning the house up, cleaning their rooms up, teaching them things that school is not teaching them. So your job is on overtime. So if he does do the after school pickup or just the weekends kind of thing, like you still not full time every single day when this child wakes up, when this child goes to bed. I'm the one who has to be there at night making sure that homework is done. I'm the one who has to be there in the morning when the child is waking up, or don't let the baby get sick. Now you up all night, all times of night. Now you're in emergency rooms by yourself because you have a part-time partner. if you're making a baby, be full time. Like, even if we're not together, we don't live in the same household type of thing, there needs to be a routine where you need to be seen every day, you know. But some people, they can't do that because of reality. Oh, I work this time, you work this time, so they can only give part-time help. So some of them will rather be on child support because they don't want to be in a committed relationship, and they rather have multiple moms and all of this drama around them rather than having one person and building a foundation and building a home. You rather just, I don't want to do that, because what's happening is relationships, we're not willing to put the work in. We could meet somebody that we like oh so much, but we have communication issues, we keep bumping heads. Well, how about we put the work in to find out where this communication is going wrong? How are you making me feel? How am I making you feel? Let's actually put the work in. We're not putting the work in. So then, soon as we get in these marriages or relationships and we're ready to break up after we've been together for all of 6 months, you know what I mean? If we make it that far, because you want a situationship me, like, no, like, sorry, bro, I got too much self worth for that. And then now I'm going into this relationship and adding emotional damage because you didn't want to, you know what I'm saying? You didn't want to put the work in. Oh, I'm doing, like, you're not putting the work in when you're not really working on yourself. I don't care if you're going to the gym, because the most arrogant, egotistical fool is at the gym. He in the fucking mirror kissing his muscles. You see what I'm saying?
Let's bring this back now. Let's bring this back. All right. So we're talking about risk, right? And then we're talking about, okay, women potentially take on more risk because the relationship could end and they could have the burden of taking care of the child.
Not even just the child. And like, this is actually funny that this comes up because I was literally just having conversation with some guy, and this was said to me. And they were basically talking to me about like how like they don't appreciate, kind of like how what she was saying about like how women are sexualized wrongly. And he was saying that men are the ones doing the penetrating, whereas women are the ones being penetrated. So it's like for men, when you like bring in things about like body count and stuff like that, they make it seem like, oh, women who have like had a higher body count are like looked at a different type of way. But these are part of the things that women have to take away as risks, because now we've basically given ourselves to this man, and then we got nothing from it, thinking that we're gonna like build with this man, because no woman,
Grow.
some women are very capable of just doing that and not having no emotional attachment and stuff like that. But there's a lot of women, like she said, that are traditional women that really just do things with one man because they think that they're going to be with this person for forever. And there are some men who really just do take advantage of it. Not all. So like now women have to deal with that. They have to deal with that side of it as well. They have to deal with like just so much more. And then women are supposed to be, apparently I hear this thing said a lot. You are a wife before you become a wife. Like, I have to do all these wifely things for you for free so you could trial me for 7 days or 6 months before you decide if you actually want to marry me. Before you actually do it. And then once you get everything, you don't want to marry me?
Let's break that down. You said a lot right there. You said a lot. You said a lot. The point I wanted to bring up was, what did you say before? You have to be a wife before you actually become a wife. What was the point you made? You said before that.
The sexual part of it. Like men are the ones penetrating, whereas women are the ones being penetrated.
Right. Well, let me ask you something. Do you think body count matters when it comes to like a long-term relationship?
Honestly and truly, no, because from what I hear, every man want to freak. How you want to freak if a girl's a virgin?
I can tell you, they want a freak to fuck, and that's about it. We don't want to freak.
You don't have to have a high body count, but I mean, you got to know what you have to have some type of experience. Let's just be real.
Well, all right, let me ask you this. Do you think men are more willing to, well, all right, hold on, before I even get into that. Empress, do you think body count matters when it comes to a long-term relationship? Why'd you say no?
Because what is me knowing that gonna do? What is me knowing that gonna change? Like,
Why does it matter?
so now what? That's how I'm looking at it. Like, so now what? Like, that has nothing to do with what we have going on at all whatsoever. And then if I knew and you were like, it's 300, I'm gonna be like, okay, so now what? You know what I mean? Why would why would that change how I feel about you if I already liked you before you even told me the number? What does that have to do with anything? Like, yeah, you might have some, have some things going on with you that you are, not even aware of how to elaborate on why you may have mood swings or things that are wrong. But that's going to go into a state that's talking about spirituality. And a lot of men these days are not that kind of spiritual. So they don't
Let me rephrase it real quick. Do you think a woman's body count matters when it comes to a long-term relationship?
know, because it's not going to change the way that she feels when he enters, unless it's just bad. Unless it's just that bad. But like, you know what I'm saying? Like, unless it's something ridiculously wild, you know what I'm saying? 100,000s type of thing.
So wait, hold on. So what's a high body count to you for a woman?
Honestly, in this day and age, I don't know, maybe 60. Like 60 or more.
What about you, Trouble? What's a high body count for a woman?
We talking about nowadays. Back in the day, one was high.
That's not too far from like the average women. Like most women have like 25, 30 bodies when they reach like 30. By the time they reach 30, they got like 30 bodies on them.
That's because they're starting to they started having sex as 14, 13 years old. Like we're not coming from this generation of people that are, oh, I waited until prom night. I was 18 or I was 20, I was 21. I waited till I was married. Like, you know what I'm saying? We don't live in that day and age. We live in a day and age where by the time you're 12, you've had some type of experience. Not that I lived in that time, but by the time I was 12, there were girls that had already been pregnant. There were girls that were fully experienced or having their first times when I was by the time I was in 6th or 7th grade. So like it starts then. They leave elementary school and they going right into the pros, no breaks. So like now it's even worse because the influence of sex is very, very, very potent. So by the time they're 11 years old, they're like, yeah, I know where babies come from. I know how to make them. I know what to do.
So one thing I would say is that I think body count does matter to a certain degree to for a woman, but it's not necessarily it's not an ultimate like no. Like if she has this certain amount of body counts, this body count, she's no longer wifeable. I think you can always work hard to overcome your mindset and what having a high body count kind of perceives you as. But I think when women have higher body counts, I don't know if you guys are still here. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. When women do have a higher body count, there is going to be some type of negative perception and connotation attached to that. And there's actually been studies shown that when a woman has more than what 6 bodies, like the likelihood for divorce goes up to almost 50%. And I think that has something to do with like what you said about how when the men do the penetrating and you get penetrated, right? So to me, when I see that and I hear that, I think of trauma. So all those dudes are entering you, and it's trauma after trauma after trauma, and to some degree, that's going to affect your mindset. That's going to affect how you perceive men, how you view relationships. And yes, it's possible that you can overcome that, but it's going to take a lot of work. And some men just aren't really down to work through all that trauma with you. They're just not going to take that risk. And that's why I say entering a relationship with the women is actually more riskier for men than I would say women. You have a lot to think about. You got that child support factor, you got her body count factor. It's a lot.
I get that. I understand that. That's why, like I said, for both, but you said choose one. So I'm gonna love my women. But I definitely feel like that's not something that men can just suffer from. I feel like that could be for women too. Because it's some things that I feel like men are just like we are misconstrued, men are also misconstrued. Men are not supposed to have quote unquote feelings. They have them, but they're downplayed. And I feel like there's actually men who have tried to like give their heart and love and do things, and there's some females who have probably showed them hell. And they probably have trauma too. So I feel like it can go both ways, honestly and truly speaking.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's important to as a man to know who you're partnering up with because at the end of the day you guys could both do damage to each other, and not even really know it. But let's get into this video reaction I want to play for y'all. You know who Ashraf Hakimi is, Trouble?
I do not.
What about you, Empress? Do you know who Ashraf Hakimi is?
No, sir.
He is a football player, soccer for all the Americans out there, and he makes about €1 million a month. And his wife recently initiated a divorce, right? But it was found out that he has no assets. All his assets are in his mother's name.
I saw that.
So yeah, we're gonna play the video. We're gonna play the video, and we're gonna have your reactions to it.
And fortune. As one of League One's highest paid players, earning over €1 million per month, this could have been a massive payout for Abouk. However, during the court proceedings, it was revealed that Hakimi had no property
Can you
or
guys hear it?
assets under his name. The reason? He had transferred his entire fortune to his mother long before the divorce. From property to cars, houses, jewelry, and even clothes, everything was under his mother's name. This unanticipated move left Hakimi's ex-wife empty-handed, demonstrating a surprising tactic even the union's founder didn't foresee. Press the follow button for more. Ashraf Hakimi's divorce.
Okay, so that's a little background on Ashraf Hakimi. So yeah, he basically has no assets in his name, and his wife initiated the divorce. She didn't know that beforehand, and yeah, so it's gonna be hard for her to get any of his assets or money. What do you guys think about that situation? Is that fair to her, or is that fair? Let me hear your thoughts. Let me hear some thoughts. What are you guys thinking right now?
I mean, was there a prenup? Like, I have so many questions. Was there like a prenup? Because there was a prenup. There was.
No prenup. He never kept anything in his name, so it's all in his mother's name.
Then she just loses.
Yeah, you don't have to take the loss. Baby, you should have signed a prenup.
The women took a loss. So what if that happened to you? How would you feel?
I'm not taking none of that. No way.
Now, whether you're gonna fight for the money?
Absolutely. If I'm in that predicament, you cannot introduce somebody to a lifestyle and then decide that, oh, I don't want to do it anymore. But because she initiated it, that's why she loses. Like, if he, and it all depends on why she initiated it in the first place. If in fact it had to do with infidelity, then she's gonna get something because she's gonna get to that emotional claim. Period. If that's what the case is, but if you just wanted to get divorced because you just tired of the relationship, you can't handle it anymore, then go live your life and be free and don't worry about the money.
The reality is, no matter what she wanted the divorce for, she was still entitled to half of his assets. But since they're not in his name, it's gonna be hard for you to get anything.
Definitely, but we'll be at his mom's door. We'll be at-
Yeah, they might go after his mom. We don't know yet, but this just started, so
This is going to be a very interesting case.
Like I said, I'm just a real person. So I personally feel like she should have signed a prenup. I don't know if there was a prenup or not, but men and women need to
But
both
you are
protect
entitled
themselves.
to.
But yes, you are entitled to it. But in a situation like this, like you said, it really just depends on what they're trying to get a divorce for. But me personally, if it was me, because you asked like, how would you feel if it was you in the situation? I'd probably be a little salty. But then on top of that, the type of person I am, if I was married to him, I would have been making my own bread. I'm so sorry. All that allowance money you giving me, I'm flipping it. So I probably would already have my own stuff together.
funny thing is, she's a famous actress in another country. She has money, like she's a millionaire. But the point is, she wants half of everything he has.
Why? I feel like then that's just like, I mean, I don't know what the like basis of that is, but I feel like when you generally say you love somebody and you're in a relationship with somebody, that love should always be there. Like if like okay, like me and my best friends for example, me and them could fight today, but I'm never gonna like put my hands on them, disrespect them. Somebody asked me what happened between you and so and so. Oh, it just didn't work out. Period. It shouldn't be no type of like I'm entitled to this, I'm entitled to that. What I was entitled to was giving you who I was as a human being. And somewhere in that you did not respect that or see value in it or disrespect was put into it, then walk away. If she was entitled, she felt like she was entitled to it. You're not entitled to anything nobody has. You were his wife, but now you asking for a divorce and you want half his money. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. She gonna have to take the loss.
It's funny. It's funny you two say that. It's crazy because I thought you would have like agreed. I thought you would have been more angry at the fact that she's not getting anything.
I think it's kind of wild that she's asking and kind of like demanding for half his assets. Like you're not. Yes, you were there helping him and stuff, but like you're the same one asking for a divorce. How about you take that same energy and try to fix your marriage?
Hmm. That's a good point. That's a good point. But yeah, she feels entitled to half of his assets, and that goes back to another point I make. So a lot of marriages now, even if they end, the woman is entitled to alimony, and if they have kids, she's also going to be entitled to child support. So that goes back to my initial question: who has the bigger risk when it comes to marriage, men or women?
Woman, still. Let me
Still
just
women,
take it back.
even though the
Yes,
man is half his.
I'm gonna give you another. I'm gonna give you another point of reference. Okay, I don't know how spiritual you guys are, but the Bible says, "He who finds a wife, you pick who you want to marry." So in this instance, I'm not gonna say it's the man's fault because things happen. People are they change with the days, with time. But I feel like they should be a little bit more like cognizant to who they are looking at as potential wives, because it's not every woman that walks around here that calls herself her wife that is a wife. Like, it's some girls that be really acting ratchet and they be going doing the utmost when they get mad, and then you go and you marry this girl thinking you're gonna deal with that for forever. When you get old, you think you want to deal with that for forever. Now things are happening. You want a divorce. Now the girl's asking you for child support. What did you expect? Like, you see what I'm saying?
So I don't think he expected a divorce though.
Probably didn't expect a divorce, but from the person's character, what the person has showed you, what did you expect? That's something that they're likely to put you through. So that's what I'm saying. They should Men should probably be a little bit more cognizant with who they're looking at to marry. It's not everything that glitters is gold. I know, like, nowadays I've had conversation with a lot of men and they're like, oh, women now, they're no longer modern. They're doing this, they're doing that, they're all over Instagram doing this and doing that. That's the women you're looking at. And it's the same thing for women. Women tend to look at men who have a higher status and this is that and the third, but you don't look at the men who are actually, like how they say nice guys always finish last, and they say good girls know they pay because I'm Nigerian. Good girls know they pay. Like, it's the same thing, vice versa. You got to be more cognizant when picking a partner. Pick a partner that actually loves you, that actually cares for you, for your well-being, so that if something was to happen like this, it's not
Pick somebody that you're willing to do the work with and for.
even in that. Still pick somebody that respects you, that wouldn't want to put you in a situation, even if it's time to part ways. It's not like, oh, you gonna have to run me that. I don't have to do shit. You're not entitled to anything. Like, just pick somebody that you know respects you and will never want to leave you in a bad situation, whether it be good or bad, however you end. And pick somebody who you know has the drive to actually want to work with you. But when you picking people that are showing you these tendencies to like be kind of iffy, and you marry them, like, that's kind of their fault. So I still say it's the women.
Yeah, I mean the man and the woman has to take accountability. But let me pose this question to you: how many women do you think, and you could use anecdotal evidence, like the friends around you, the women you know, how many of them would actually make good wives? Do you think? If you had to think, you had 100 women in the room. You had 100 women in the room that you know. How many of them do you think would actually make good wives?
Personally, 100 women that I know, at least 75 of them are good wives.
75% are good wives.
Yes.
Stop the crap.
Nah, 75%.
Yeah, because it's about the people that you pick to be around. There are people that are in actual stable relationships or are already married. Like, I don't really have any like friends that are married. I have very few single friends. You know what I mean? There are women that are in mature relationships that are looking to that have businesses either with their partners or like, they're looking to build and things like that. Like, the things, because of what I know about those women, yes. It's like we all know that in relationships people are different. You know what I mean? They're different in their relationships of how they handle their spouses and how they go through their problems or whatever the case is. So you're out on the outside looking in. But in my lifetime, I've got to meet a lot of women that either were already married in serious relationships, like, or the ones that are single, they don't want to be with nobody. So that's why I say I meet more good women than I have met like ones that are just ratchet and don't want to do nothing. So that's just my personal feelings. But
I would say if you knew 75 women that were wives, I would say if you knew 75 women that were like good wives, or you saw were good wives, they would be like, what would stop them from getting wifed up? There's a number of men out here, and I'm pretty sure they're still sexually active. Why are they not being wiped up if you're good wives?
it would have been their choices and who they chose to be intimate with, as far as them what type of man they picked. So a lot of times that's the problem. It's not that women aren't good girls or they're not good women. They're picking terrible people and learning horrible life lessons and becoming the most emotionally damaged people on the planet.
You think it's the men? You think the women are
No, I don't think it's just the men. I don't think it's just the men. Actually even wanted to ask you. You said, what is your definition of a good woman, or what is the definition of a good wife? Because
my
it's different.
definition
Like,
to be different than your
yeah, that's why I'm asking you because you asked the question. So, what do you categorize as a good wife? Before I answer the question.
Well, that's a good question. That's a really good question. Let me get your thoughts on what you think a good wife is. What does she have to bring?
Well, patience. I think men require a lot of patience. I feel like a good wife brings peace. If she doesn't bring peace, she facilitates a space where you can have peace. Um, I think another thing is just genuine love, like anticipating the person's needs, wants. If you're coming home from work and you telling me you having a bad day, even if you're not telling me you having a bad day, if I know you're coming home from work and you probably had a stressful day, like I'm gonna get your food ready, I'm gonna do all that stuff, make sure you're good, you're not in a position to have to do more than you need to do. All those things are kind of characteristics. Understanding, good communication, transparency, all that. That's what I feel like makes a good wife. Now, when you ask how many women do I know that would be a good wife, I think all my girls around me, honestly, because I don't even surround myself with females that I don't even want to, I don't see myself in or I can't learn something from. So at that point, with that being said,
All right, but what about not just your friends, but what about like just general women that you see? I don't know, like in universities or at work.
in this day and age, I would say, hmm, I think she's right. Like a good, I would say anywhere from 50 to 75. I can't really generalize it because it's just from what I see. It's just from what I see. But here's why I say that. With what I just said, a lot of these females possess these qualities. But it's the thing of who are you gonna do it for? Here's my thing, and this is what I say to a lot of females and men when it comes to dating me especially. I'm a woman, like I said, I'm very traditional. Men want a girl who's gonna submit so that they can lead and they can fully sit in their masculine energy, if I may, right? I can do that. But the type of person I am, I don't work my ass off to be where I am right now. Okay, I'm still fighting shit. I'm still trying to work past shit. So you can lead me, but where you leading me to, honey? Do you know how to lead yourself? Okay. Now, if I see that you don't have those qualities, I'm not gonna let you leave me. I might, but I'm gonna have some boundaries with you, and it's gonna be up to you to show me that I can let those kind of guards down. And I feel it's like a lot of women nowadays, like I said, they possess all these good wifely qualities, but it's who they choose to do it for. Now, when it comes to men, I feel like they could do a better job of, and women too, just like she said, we could both collectively as human beings do better job of picking the right partners, picking people who one make us feel like we can do these things. So it's not like, oh, you have to do it. Just like she said earlier in the beginning, like for me to give you sex wouldn't be a problem if I'm generally sexually attracted to you, unless you've done something to fuck that up. Now, if you've messed that up, that's not on me. I will give you the option to choose if you want to fix it or not. If you don't want to fix it, then I will just move. But if you choose you want to fix it, then I'm gonna accept. But a lot of these people don't really try to like people just be rushing things and they don't pick the right people. They don't want to build on foundation and substance. They just want to build on intimacy, and it's not gonna go anywhere like that. Or looks, or for men it's looks, for women it's money, and it doesn't. It's more than that because the money and the looks is not gonna sustain you.
All right, Empress, what do you think makes a good wife? I think it might blow your minds right now, both of you. So you both said very complex answers: intelligence, peace, determination, um, emotional security, things of all types of things, right? Which is very complex, very complex. But men are very, very simple. Those are all traits those are all traits you find attractive in men. But men do not typically find those same things attractive. So I'll tell you really what men want in a good wife. Feminine, beautiful, which also means youthful, young, because if a man is going to take you seriously, he also wants to think about if you're going to have his kids or not. So beauty and youth have to be combined into one. And then inspirational. Those are the three key things you have to have. All the other things you guys all mentioned were all good things, all good qualities, but they're things that you find attractive in men and not necessarily what men find attractive in women. Like you said it for yourself. Men are very physical. We look at the outer layer, but there's a reason for that. We look for beauty and we look for youthfulness, but that's to, make sure that we can reproduce with this woman later down the line. But all your other answers, they just were very complex, and men are just very, very simple. So you guys got it wrong. I'm sorry. How many women do you think you know are feminine nowadays? Regardless, she gonna get the half. We can't avoid giving her the half.
Your friend got away with what's the guy you just showed us in the he got away with he possibly might get away with
He can get away with and that's in another country. In the US, that shit can't fly. They coming after if you do that shit in the US, they coming after your mom.
they knocking on your door. Collections.
Yeah, exactly. That shit ain't gonna fly. But
So let me ask you this. Do you feel like with the answers that you just gave us in terms of like those three simple things, do you think that just those three things alone will sustain a relationship or a marriage for a long time?
yes, 100%.
Just so you don't think that a woman being patient with you, a woman being your peace, like all those things don't matter to you. Having a woman that you can come home to and you can tell your ideas to and she can support them and even assist you. Having a woman that when you come home, like shit's already done. Like you ever heard the song Cater to You? Like she caters to you. That's already done. And not just like on a physical level, spiritual, physically, sexually, all of that. That wouldn't do anything.
Well, here's the problem with that. That sounds really good on paper, right? But you even said it yourself that you're not feminine or submissive unless the man shows you that he can be that unless he shows you that he can be that leader. When there's women out there who are naturally going to be feminine and submissive no matter who they're with. So if there's a woman who's naturally feminine and submissive, why would he go for a woman that could turn it off and on?
I don't think it's a matter of turning it off and on. I think there's levels to femininity that people don't understand.
But there's women
I
who
can
are
go out,
feminine.
yes, I can go out right now and people will be like, oh my gosh, you're so sweet. You're always smiling and you're this and you're this and you're this and you're that. But at the end of the day, don't think that I'm gonna just let stuff slide. Because it's considered what I've noticed is it's considered not feminine when we are not putting our boundaries up. Like, and then when we do put our boundaries up in a feminine way, quote unquote, soft, like this is that, and the third, it's not really received, or it's not being received. So now when we sit here and say, okay, like for example, I could sit here and tell you, like, let's say me and you are together, and I could sit here and I could tell you, hey babe, I really don't like this, is that, and the third. I can communicate that I don't like something that you're doing. You might think shit is sweet because I'm saying it like real nice and calm or whatever. But now when I decide that, okay, yeah, look, I'm gonna put my foot down, da 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 da, I might get a little louder, whatever. It's oh, she's not being feminine no more. No, I could be feminine, but my feminine comes in like women are like onions. Like you gotta peel them back. They're like layers, and that's why I say people don't want to like put in the time. Yes, is those women that you're saying are naturally soft and submissive. Those are the ones that are gonna put you on child support.
All women are gonna put us on child support. That's what you're missing out. All women, all so the reality is if you get married to any woman, there's a risk that you're gonna lose half your shit. there's a risk that you're going to be on child support with any woman.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing. I'm gonna give you a prime example. My mom and my dad. My mom is Nigerian. My dad is Virgin Islands. My mom did not ask my dad for shit when he left, and they weren't married. But she could have definitely sat here and put him on child support, but she didn't because she was like, I don't need to do that. I'm not about to hunt you down. You shouldn't have to. I shouldn't have to beg you to pay for your child. So I'm kind of like the same way, which is why I'm like, I really feel like she just took a loss because you should have protected yourself going into it. You know what you have, you should have protected yourself going into it. You know what you bring to the table, so you should protect yourself going into it. So when it's like this, I don't feel like it's every woman that's gonna put somebody on child support. But I'm just saying that with femininity is levels to it. You have to work for that. When you get femininity this easy, I think you should be like scared and run because that's the type of women, not all of them, but that's the type of women that would put you in some things. Whereas women where you've like actually worked to get a certain type of submission from her and to see a side of femininity that nobody else sees, that's how you know you're really locked in. And sis, you can help me out here.
I don't know. I'm gonna have to disagree with that because there's a whole trend of men. You probably already know this, but there's a whole trend of men leaving the United States to go to different countries to find feminine women because they're missing it out in here in America. We're dealing with these women who either present themselves as masculine or their femininity is very conditional. You have to be this hyper masculine man or this super leader who has everything together just to get to her feminine side. When you go to another country and you see those other women, they're just naturally feminine. And you,
We're this is a condition. This is a programmed condition, and it's getting even worse. So like you have these women going to these other countries and altering their bodies to be more attractive for these men that don't even want them.
so
You
wait,
are you
I mean,
have women exploiting themselves to an utmost degree right now for attention, for somebody just to watch you, but they don't want you. They think they're gonna go and find these women in other countries that are gonna be also submissive, but they're gonna be the women that also leave their asses too. They're in for a rude awakening because what they portray us as in other countries is not how we see us. We are looked down upon in so many ways, in so many places. So it's like they adore these American men because at the end of the day, they kind of look at them like they're stupid or they're frivolous with the things that they do because of the things that they're into. They might be the adoration is there, but no, once they like what I've noticed is like even when people come from the islands, right? When they come from the islands and they fresh here, you have either the people that's preying on them, like, oh, they just got here, or you got the people that's like, I don't want to deal with that because they're gonna want something from me. It's gonna be this, it's gonna be that. Like, okay, for instance, you meet a man that's fresh here, and you're an American woman, and you're not aware that he has no green card. You're not aware that he of none of that stuff, and all of a sudden you love him so much he wants to marry you. But he knew why he wanted to marry you because he had intentions on staying here. He had intentions on doing this, that, the third. That wasn't even for the marriage. It was for himself. So we run into that in the reverse way, but we're not even aware of it because it's like all of these celebrities that go to different countries and get praised by these women, but then these women 20 years down the line, she gone too.
I mean, I kind of understand what he's saying though. I kind of understand what he's saying in terms of like men going to like different countries. I mean, just because I'm Nigerian and it's like certain things that we've been conditioned to do, like, oh, your husband, your husband, your husband, your husband, your husband, take care of your husband. They're going to take your husband. So it's like, I kind of understand what he's saying. But I think with that, I feel like people kind of like don't really understand the value of women. Like I hear a lot of men say, and I say this myself, like it doesn't even have to be a woman. Men too, don't come into a relationship being a liability. I say that all the time. And I feel like sometimes men be like, oh, I want a woman who has her shit together. Even if it's not all the way together, he wants a woman that has her head on straight. A woman that has her head on straight, especially in this day and age, we've all gone through things, men and women. When you've done a lot and you've
worked really hard to get to where you be, like fully like worked to get to where you want to be, you have something to protect. So as a woman getting into a relationship, this is why I say that we lose more. When we get into a relationship, we low key, I don't want to say we lose a part of ourselves, but we're low key expected to surrender a part of ourselves. And these are the things that men don't see. So when you have a woman who's like, okay, I'm showing you some of my femininity, but if you want to be my man, and it just makes sense. Like, if I was showing every man the same femininity I showed you, what would make you different? Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, if I'm giving all this femininity to everybody else, what will make you different? Now, when you now put a ring on my finger, I'm not saying it has to go to that, but when you now put a ring on my finger and show me something, then I can be fully feminine here. I can rest here. I can know that you've seen me in every type of like situation. I can know that you've worked to get to this part of me. And that's the thing that's why I said he who finds a wife, because you have to know that, okay, yeah, this girl, I know her inside and out. I know the stages of her, and I've worked to get to this. And now that woman can really rest in, like, okay, yeah, I want to submit to this guy. I want to commit to this guy. I want to do this to this man. But like, you can't just expect that to just come. Yeah, like it's so quick pace. It's so surface level. There's no foundation, and that's why a lot of like relationships crash now so quickly and burn out. And then when things like this happen, when there's a divorce, it's, oh, give me half your assets. Oh, you none of that. If I want to give you that, I can.
Choice in most situations, but I do see your point.
I think that's fucked up.
Um, with that being said, I was going to say, damn, would you sign a prenup if your man came to you with that?
I personally wouldn't go into like the idea of marriage, like, oh, let's sign a prenup, because I wouldn't really bank on it. But I mean, if he brought it up, then yeah, why not?
Really? That means if you spent 10 years plus with this man and it all ended, you would be okay with getting nothing.
Yeah, I work for my own shit. That's fine.
Okay. What about you, Empress?
Man, honestly, it depends on the situation. It depends on the situation, because it's like, one, I'm not a person that's like materialistic. So like, if you go in with that mindset, like, look, if you leave, I'm not, you know what I mean? Let me put down what I'm getting. Like, no, if we came into this together and we're not doing that. And we're not doing it a year round. I don't care if we got rich together, then we worry about, splitting that down the line. But as far as like, we go in and we build this thing, no, this for life. Like, the people in my family, like my mother, my sister, we actually are not people that like really like ain't no out. Like, we don't do divorce. If this is something that you somewhat down the line feel like this is getting hard, well, that's why they have therapists. That's why they have all of these things for us to work on this. But it's just like, once you in, it's like, I'm all in. We all or nothing, because it's like, we're not about to start making children and start building all of this, like, and you feel like, oh, this ain't what you want to do, because in all actuality, me knowing who I am, I would be the person like, okay, I'm getting exhausted, and now there needs to be something to take place, if in fact, that was the situation. But like, prenup, no.
Not with it. All right. I got another video that we want to react to. So let's get it.
Women have always been complaining about men cheating historically since the beginning of the goddamn time. What do y'all think, that it's not in a man's nature to settle down to one woman?
So you don't believe in monogamous relationships?
I don't think it's natural for men. I don't think so.
Eventually it will be.
For years, women have tried to throw monogamy on men. How has it been working out?
If women have always been complaining about men cheating historically since the beginning.
And shout out to the Daily Wrap Up crew for this video. Check out their podcast. But yeah, this goes back to that point we were talking about. Is monogamy even really working anymore? And is it fair to put that on men?
It is a choice. Monogamy is a choice.
I don't think you can put anything on anybody. I feel like if a man, like I said earlier, if a man says he wants to be in a committed relationship, keep your word. Like, if you don't want to be in a committed relationship, just communicate that. Be grown and just say, I don't want to be in a committed, I still want to do what I do. If you're okay with that, some girls might be okay with that. They might dig it. A lot of females respect. But see, the thing is, I feel like a lot of men don't understand the fact that women can take the truth. They might not like the truth, but they'll respect you for telling them the truth. Well, I can't say all women, but I know that there's women that can take the truth, but it might hurt them, obviously, because we all have feelings, but they will respect the fact that you're being honest with them. Like if I was in a relationship and somebody was like, "Oh, they want to have an open relationship or they want to invite people into the relationship." Personally, would I say yes? Hell no. But somebody might, another woman might, but I would respect the fact that you even came to me and you were honest with me as opposed to like disrespecting me and going behind my back.
One thing I'm gonna say is for all the men out there like in marriages, right? And then marriages for 10 years plus, 15 years plus, and you know the sex dies down. At some point the sex is gonna die down. Y'all not gonna be having the same level of intimacy from when y'all first linked up, you know, and got together. And when that sex dies down, the man's sex drive is still there, but the women's sex drive may not be on the same level 10, 15 years plus, right? And the man steps out, he then gets hit with that, oh, I'm ready to divorce you. And I think that's kind of what they're relating back to that clip is that, you know, y'all trying to throw this monogamy on us. And historically, it never even really worked. When you look at like the top kings and the top 20% of men and the men who are worth something, they all had multiple women. And even now in most relationships, you know, when you see like Nick Cannon, you know, he got like 10, 12 baby moms. What I'm saying is that, you know, there's women out there who are willing to share the man that they're with, you know, if he's worthy of that. And you have to become a man who is worthy of that.
Can I ask you something? As a man, right? How would you feel if I was like, yeah, babe, I'm gonna share you? Yeah, if I was your girl and I would be like, yeah,
She belongs to the streets.
okay, okay, okay. So why is it different? Vice versa.
You even said yourself, men do the penetrating, women get penetrated. And there's a saying I like to tell women out there. A key that opens many locks is a good key. But a lock that is opened by many keys is a bad lock.
Oh my god, if you just compared our pussies to a lock. Yo,
Nah, what do y'all think about that? Doesn't that have some truth behind it? If you just let any key open you up, I don't know if you preserving your value right. I don't know about that. I don't know if you're making the right choices.
so what if the men is our value? Okay, so me personally, I've said this to somebody before. They thought it was a joke, but personally, that down there, that's my throne. I don't want nobody else sitting on my throne. So if that's how you feel, how do you think we feel? Because I feel like sometimes people don't understand that women are like, I don't want to say possessive, but we want our man to ourselves. Like, I don't want to have to share you. Like, especially because, like, it's deeper than that. Especially because, like, in this day and age, so many people are going around doing so many things with so many different people. Like, I'd rather just be with one person and know that I can pinpoint anything that happens as opposed to us now inviting other people, not even knowing what the hell they be doing on their free time, who they be with, if it's a he, a she, a she and a she, a he and a he and a she, like it's so many different things. So it's just like why would you even want to add that in there? Like, why do you guys expect us to be y'all gem, but y'all can't be ours? Y'all can't be our throne when we just
Well, all right, let me tell you, if you really wanted that loyal, stable man, you can find him.
I believe anything is possible.
But I'll tell you this, he just won't be attractive to other women. If you really want that loyal, stable man, you can find him. He just won't be attractive to other. He's gonna be the men that you overlook, the men that you friend zone. those are the men that are going to be loyal and reliable and stable, the ones you can depend on, the ones that are never going to cheat on you. But if you're constantly going after the high, but let me tell you, if you're constantly going after the high status, attractive, the men who make money, have their shit together, da 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 da, there's a high likelihood they're gonna cheat. That's all I'm saying. Cheating is really your biggest concern. Go after the loyal guys who are unfortunately just not attractive.
And I agree with
I
your
tried
point.
that. That don't work either.
But that's my point. My point is, okay, so to the women who are beautiful, and they probably have curvature and everything, and they're able to stay. Why the men can't do that?
Say again. Say again.
I said to the women who are like beautiful, there's beautiful women out here, high values, high status women. Why the men can't do that? And we're expected to stay down and keep our legs closed. Why? I'm not gonna say women don't cheat, because I'm gonna try to be fair here. Women do cheat too, very much so. But there are women who are very beautiful and have things going for themselves and bring a lot to the table, just being them, and they stay down. Why don't men do the same thing? Because I believe if you have, let's say you have a very beautiful woman and you have a very beautiful man, and we're both getting attention, and I'm sitting here like, no sir, like swerve, like why you can't do the same thing?
That's because
Because
sex is easy to get for you, and it's not as easy to get for a man.
So you getting it as like a medal?
It took a long time. It took a long time. Men have to build their value to obtain sex from women. Women just come on the market at 18, and men just want to fuck.
So that worth that medal, that like haha I did it, that quick little nut.
It's not a haha I did it. It's the self-improvement behind the man that you're attracted to.
So you being able to have another woman.
Why are you looking at me like that? Nah, Empress, why are you looking at me like that? What you gotta say?
So you being able to have another woman sexually when you have a high value woman already that's beautiful and is high value, you risking your home for a hotel.
Time out. A woman can only be high value if she's with a high value man.
Okay, that's what I
There's no
said.
woman that's just high value.
People. We're two good looking people that bring something to the table, both. So now I'm sitting here doing that swerving, all that stuff, but you telling me in order to make yourself, you're already a high value man, to make yourself a higher value man, you have to go be with another woman and risk your home for a hotel?
You don't have to, but just know that he's gonna have options out there as a high value man.
And I have options too, but I'm expected to keep my legs together.
That's the difference. Every woman has options. That's not a medal for y'all. You guys get options when you're 18. That's the difference.
But it's different when if you look, it's okay. This is just real. Certain women look different from certain women. Certain women get more attention than other women. So same thing for men.
It's not about looks or anything. Let me tell you, you guys are always gonna have men who want to fuck you. But the real key piece that you guys are missing is how many men actually want to wife you, actually want to marry you. And based on the numbers, this is just stats for African American women. 1 out of every 4 African American women, roughly around 25%, will actually get married in their lifetime. And the rates for other races of women is actually much higher than that. So when you look at the numbers, it's not about how many options you have as a woman. It's about how many options you have that you respect, that you're attracted to, that you're willing to commit to, and if that man wants to marry you. How many of those do you have? It's not about how many just want to fuck you, because we already know a bunch of dudes want to fuck you. You can go outside right now and go and dudes will still want to fuck you. Like, it don't matter to us. Like, it don't matter. So it's different. It's different. Men have to build their value to become attractive to a lot of women. Like, you take an 18-year-old man and an 18-year-old woman, the average 18-year-old man, the average 18-year-old woman, he's not having the same sexual options as she would. You know, it's going to be very much different. He's going to have to work to a level where he can show that he can protect, provide, and have that mental security with and intelligence within himself to be attractive to a lot of women. All right, Empress, why are you saying? Why are you saying no? Let me hear this. Let's go.
Because let's think about reality here.
We're in reality.
We'll use high school. Let's think about high school. You're the high school football player, and you know that you don't got no money, but you worked out and your body is nice. But you could be the ugliest motherfucker at school, and but your body is nice. They're all gonna be looking. You're a sport, you're an
Okay.
athlete or something like that. That's not about money. That's not about like your value is now
But
just you because your mind is not outside of that is when we start this, oh, what does he have thing. But it's like most of the time that people like, where did this high value thing come from? I think everybody needs to realize that that shit is some bullshit that Kevin Samuels are planted in y'all fucking heads, and then it'll fuck
You
up
can't
the
make this
culture
shit up.
completely.
You can't
Like
make this shit up.
high value.
all right, hold on, Empress. Hold on. Let me go back now. All right, football player, right? You said he built himself up physically. Okay. How, like, that's not an easy feat for men to build themselves up physically, es- especially to be physically strong enough to be on a football team. Also, we know athletes have a higher presence of social value. They get invited to all the parties. They have certain
It
connections.
even is.
But let me tell you something. That's not the average man. The average man, especially who's 18, is 5'8", doesn't have shit to his name, isn't in shape, is probably skinny, isn't good with girls, isn't confident. He's lacking so many things that this football player, him being in football, he already built the physique. He already has a social status. He may not have the money yet. He's missing that third component, but he has 2 out of 3. So that already makes him higher value than most of the boys at the school. So you're not even looking at the average man in that sense. You're still looking at it like a soon to be high value man.
Okay, so if that's the case, then why don't you just wait to get in a committed relationship when you know that you've gotten to that point, you've seen everything, and now you can just choose one woman?
I mean, I tell men to wait to until they've built themselves up before they enter relationships, because a lot of men just enter relationships and it doesn't mean anything. You know, I tell men you gotta treat yourself like a company. You have to make the woman work to be a part of your life. She has to fit within your life. You can't just let any type of woman into your life. But that's what a lot of men are giving out. They're just giving out relationships. And they're the men that you necessarily don't respect, or the men that give the false impression of we can build together. We can build and do this. When in reality, y'all don't really want to build these men. You want them to already have their shit together and come into the relationship knowing what they want.
That's not true.
Nobody ever has their life.
You want to build the man, Empress?
Yes.
Let me give you the ideal man. Let me give you the ideal man. I'll give you the ideal man. 5'8", 50,000 per year. 5'8", 50K per year, has no assets, has a roommate. Are you willing to build with him?
Is he a
Is
person that's
strong
trying to
together.
that if I can motivate you to want to do better, to want more for yourself, if we can have this, if we can get on the same brainwave frequency and actually plan out what we want to do with our lives to make that happen, yeah. Because remember, thousands of years ago, that's not what it was. Like either we was forced, you know what I'm saying, to be with these people, and these people up here, they married into bloodlines, or these people down here were forced into marriages. So it's just like, if this person makes you happy, it don't matter if they sit around and play video games all day. Do they have any goals or dreams or anything, or can you motivate them to do something better with themselves? Can y'all get on the same frequency to be like, hey, you know what, do you like this? I like this. Let's try this. Can we do something together? And if that's not the person that wants to build or wants to do that, then no, I'm not building with that person. But if you have ambition and you have goals in mind, or you want to do something with yourself, let's do this. Like, let's put the work
Okay.
in. But there's not nobody that want to put the work in. Most of the women want him to come established already. I've did that already. I've dated
Yes.
people who are completely established, already have a whole lot of money. You know what I mean? Like where he can give you whatever you want to, do. But then spiritually, he's a fucking loser. You know what I mean? Mentally, he really he don't have no emotional self. He has sacrificed himself for all of the things that he does have. So it's almost like inside you empty. So now you move on to the next person, and he might not have as much, but he got a dream, he got a goal, and he got ambition. And it's just like, can't nobody stop you if you got ambition.
Okay. Shovel, let me pose you the question. Would you want that 5'8", 50K per year man, plays video games all day? It's going to take a lot of inspiration and motivating to actually build with him. It's going to take a lot of time, a lot of commitment. It's going to take a couple years of commitment. Would you take that man or the man who is attractive, has his stuff together already, and is ready for commitment? Not for commitment, not commitment, I should say, but he's ready to, you can see yourself easily taking it to the next level because um there's no financial stress.
Personally, I would prefer to build with a man just because if anything happens, just because this is just me. If anything happens, I want you to know that I'm there for you, not for what you have. That's just me. But if you playing video games or all day around, I don't know how that's gonna work because that don't show that you have ambition to like do things. So just like she said, I feel like you have to be ambitious. You have to want better for yourself. And then if I'm gonna be a woman in your life, you have to want to be able to want better for me and to provide better for me. I personally don't feel like you're gonna meet anybody perfect. You're gonna have to work with them. It could be a relationship, intimate, like relationship, friendship, anything. You're going to have to always work with people, but you have to be teachable. You have to be moldable. You have to be bendable. If you're not trying to do those things, then that's where I'm gonna be like, I want to build with you. But it's not a problem for women to build with men. I don't think women have a problem building with men. But when we're telling you, oh babe, do this, oh babe, try to do this, and you're not listening, that's when the disconnect comes. Yeah, because sometimes I've noticed that men don't like hear things from women. Some men don't like to like be told by their women this, but if you having a woman in your life, it's not just for her to lay down on her back and open her legs. She's gonna tell you things that you probably can't see about yourself so that you can fix those things and it can assist you in being a better person, a better man. But a lot of men don't like to do that most times. So I don't mind building with somebody. You just have to want it for yourself. You have to be teachable. You have to be open to taking criticism, whatever the case may be. Work with me, I'll work with you because I'm not perfect either.
All right, so I'm gonna give if there's any ladies watching right now, and I'm gonna give the two ladies on the panel here today some keys. Never build with a man. Never. I'm just gonna say that. Never build with the man because you can build with the man, take him to the top, and he has all the power in that situation. You're better off taking the man who's already built and knowing what you're getting rather than taking the chance of spending all your time and energy building a man and then him just meeting a younger version of you and then taking the younger version of you. Because we already talked about, we were talking about 2-3 years minimum of commitment to this man to get him to the level where you want him to be. So why do that and why risk it when you could just find a man who's already established? And that's my piece on that. So I'm gonna flip the podcast on you. We're closing up, wrapping up here. Do you guys have any questions for me or anything you want to ask to get the male perspective on? Just let me know.
What do you consider a high value woman?
A woman who is with a high value man and she's feminine, beautiful, and inspirational.
Why does she
Simple
have
as
to be
that.
with a high value man in order to be high value?
Because we already said your value comes from you protecting your value, right? You protect your value. And maybe you missed this part too. So back to the sexual options. Oh shit, she's gone. Back to the sexual options. A lot of women have options to have sex with a lot of men, but do they necessarily have the option to keep the man that they truly respect and desire for marriage? So the reason why, short recap of that is we already know women have a lot of sexual options, but do they have the same amount of options of men when it comes to that man being the one that they respect and desire and him actually wanting to marry them? So because men control access to relationships, women control access to sex. So women, are you choosing the men that you're allowing to have sex with? Are they valuable enough and do you respect them to the same point where they're willing to give you access to relationships and marriage? Do you have any questions for me, Trouble?
Yeah. You said that what makes a high value woman. I can't. I don't want to like misquote you, but you said something about how she protects her feminine energy or she protects herself.
She protects her value.
Okay, so I'm gonna take that back to the question I asked you earlier, and when we were talking about femininity and like levels of submission, or not submission, I would just say feminism. So do you kind of like understand with that point why some women like kind of give you their femininity in stages, like they open it up, not saying that they're not being feminine, but they're not giving it to you all at once? Do you kind of understand where that comes in? Because you said you disagreed, but just off that point in which you just made in terms of like protecting their value, because you can't just give it to somebody, because that's how people get. I feel like the reason why a lot of people are damaged the way they are is because of lack of boundaries. So do you not understand that based off of just like what you just said?
Yes, I see the logic behind it, honestly. I really do see the logic behind it because there's a lot of crappy men out there, right? And I I'll admit that. Like there's a lot of crappy men out there. I always say I think only 10 to possibly 20% of men actually out there actually make good leaders. The rest are just bullshitting, right? And they're gonna front like they're good leaders. So I understand why you guys do that to protect yourself, but at the end of the day, it really just hurts you for when you actually do meet that guy in the 10% and he sees another woman who is actually feminine and is giving him what he wants off rip. But it also depends on like what you're doing in terms of your conditional femininity and how you're letting it play out. Like if you're making it seem that you're this masculine, you have this masculine exterior, and he has to peel back, like you said, peel back your layers like an onion. A man who's high value isn't going to do that shit. He's going to do that shit to have sex with you, but there's going to be a very high probability that he's not going to want to deal with you long term. Because a lot of men are going to play the game just to get sex, and then never give you the relationship. So you end up fucking yourself over in the end.
Well, do you feel like men could be a little bit more understanding with females as women are with men? Because we know that men require a lot of patience. Do men understand that? I mean, I feel like they say that they do, but do they really like impose the patience? Like, do they show the patience when it comes time?
No.
I mean that all comes down to the man. I mean he might. For me, I can
The majority of men. Okay, talk about yourself.
talk about myself. I only really deal with feminine women. So, and I make that clear up front. It's just like I don't like if you're cursing at me, if you're yelling at me, if you're starting pointless arguments, I might still talk to you for sure, but you're never going to see a relationship out of me, you know? And that's what and that's the game a lot of women get fucked up in, and it goes back to the trauma, right? A lot of women get stuck in that loop thinking that this situationship is going to turn into a relationship and it's 2-3 years down the line and that nigga ain't giving you no relationship. So I mean, certain men who've built themselves up know how to play the game very well, but women know how to play the game too, but I would say it's easier to just be feminine up front, because if you're planning to do it regardless, you might as well do it and get it out choose the men correctly. You should already know. You have to take some accountability on the men you choose. You really have to take some accountability on the men you choose, and you have to understand that not every man deserves your feminine side, you know? And then it comes down to being intentional. Are you dating with intention? Are you dating for marriage? Does a man know you're dating for marriage? Like there's a lot of like moving parts when you really get down to it. All right, no more questions. You all good? All right. Last thoughts on the show. What'd you think about it? Rate it 1 out of 10.
Definitely a 10. I've seen a lot of podcasts. This is my first time actually being on one, but I just love how you moderated it, and I loved how you let us speak, even though you probably didn't agree with everything we were saying. And I loved how you still gave us the chance to ask you questions, and you even gave us advice back. Like 10 out of 10. I don't know who's not following, but they need to follow. And any friends that I have, I'm gonna bring them to your page because we could all learn something from here.
All right, Empress, real quick, real quick. Rate the podcast 1 out of 10.
Definitely 10. Definitely dope. I enjoyed myself. Um,
Uh,
And
all right.
the sound effects are bomb, by the way.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. All right, guys. We are gonna wrap this up here. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, follow the channel. Social media links to
Oh
these
my
levels
gosh.
will be below.
So sorry.
We're-
I definitely gave it a 10. I definitely loved talking to Trebel. She was dope. I'm definitely liking this. I'm definitely gonna repost it and everything. So
Yeah.
I would like everybody writes to send me their Instagram names so I can repost this. I would definitely do Black Diamond Podcast for sure. Definitely
Thank you.
repost this whole thing. I had a really, really good time. I enjoyed myself. I wish we could talk more. I definitely
Yeah.
do it again in a heartbeat.